Okay, so the first question that I have for you, and before all that, is really thank you for doing this with us. So, when this documentary dropped, and I know that you haven't seen it, Netflix documentary,
Right. Even today, I have not seen it.
and overnight, there was a lot of attention on you. Positive or negative. A lot of young women were um, picked you up like a pop icon. Ki, oh, there is this woman going against the authority, being a rebel in the true sense. There was this big mass of people who were like, oh my God, she's such a, I don't want to use the word, but, she's such a bad person. So what was your reaction, not from the documentary's perspective, but आप एक society में रहते हो, you're in a society, there are people around you who talk, or wherever you are in the world, they know. So what was your reaction to, or what was people's reaction towards you? What did you find?
It was very interesting when the premiere came out of Wild Wild Country.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I was in Vietnam with my patients
Okay.
from the home enjoying vacation.
Huh.
And one morning, 8 o'clock, around 8:30, I start getting telephone calls from journalists. And I couldn't understand why suddenly there are so many journalists calling from all over the world.
Okay.
And then finally, one of the journalists, by late afternoon, I understood, mentioned that your documentary is out in Hollywood.
Okay.
I said, yes, and? I was so casual. I had no idea that that's what happens in Hollywood, that when something comes up and the whole world goes crazy. I was asked, and how do you feel? I feel the same. I'm still the same person.
Interesting. Let me just ask you this first. What are you doing these days?
These days, I have my work that I do for last 33 years.
Okay.
I live among my handicapped people.
Okay.
And they are my family.
That's in, I think, Europe, right?
In Switzerland.
In Switzerland. Okay.
And I have a team of 25, 27 people.
Okay.
And we work together, and that's my life for last 33 years.
See, usually people ask you 100 things or stories about Bhagwan Osho. So I have a story for you, actually. A lot of people, hota kya hai ki, when you see a documentary, you are fixated on a particular character, like a movie character, and you really don't know the history of that particular person. You just experience something the way it is shown to you. A lot of people don't know that he was a philosophy professor in University of Jabalpur. And I have a story for you. So one of my friend's father was in his class.
Oh, wow.
And it's interesting because at that time, this is way before Wild Wild Country. I knew this when I was in college. And he told me that his father was in his class, and Bhagwan Osho used to wear really weird kurtas. And one of the students in his class asked him, like, sir, why do you wear kurtas which are oversized or weird? To which Bhagwan Osho answered, so that intelligent people like you can ask me this question. So, yeah, that is something that, was my first understanding of Osho. Somebody told me that, there is this gentleman, Osho, and he was in my father's class. Mm-hmm. And then I started digging bit of it. And what I want to know from you is, in that era, see, we haven't lived that era. We haven't been through that experience. So it doesn't matter how much research I do. unless you don't live a particular part or a community or a particular place, you really don't have a fine understanding of that. Because I'll tell you what was a layman's understanding of Osho ashram. So when I was in college, few of our friends, they went to Pune to do their graduation, and they were like, do you know there is an ashram in Pune, and as soon as you enter, everybody's having sex and they are wearing orange clothes. So what I really want to know is, for you, you were 16 when you were with Osho. For you, how was the initial, a month or two, if you remember, in the ashram? Was it always like this? What they were like, open sex, all that? Because this is how, the big generation got introduced to Osho, as not through his teaching or his philosophy. The first thing, sadly, but it's not about just India. I think it works everywhere. You talk about sex and suddenly, everybody's ears, right? So this is the first impression that people took of Osho or the Osho ashram. So what do you have to say to that? Like, what was happening during that era?
I must say first that your friend who said this, I think he needs mental health checkup. Because he's fantasizing, seeing things that are not real.
Okay.
They didn't exist.
Okay.
I met Bhagwan when I was 16 in Baroda.
Okay.
Then I went 5 years to US to study, returned back, and I met Bhagwan again, and I fell in love with him.
Okay.
From this point on, until 85 September, when I left, I was with him. That's about 14 years.
That's a lot of time.
Yeah. And I was part of the Pune ashram development.
Okay.
And I guarantee you, people shouldn't make up fantasy to look spatial.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And talk of sex in general.
Ji.
Every household has sex all over the world, not just India.
True.
All over the world. But I have never seen in our community, while I was there, what happened afterwards, I don't take responsibility for me on my head. There were no non-consensuous sex. Where people get mixed up in India, there were a lot of Westerners. In ashram, also in Oregon. And they are more open, touching one another, hugging one another, or smooching one another. But you smooch with lust, then it is sexual. But you smooch because of your feelings, because you have not seen the friend or you want to greet your friend.
Mm-hmm. That's just a different feeling.
That is a different situation. So people have to find other sources to become important. And this sex story is now old. It has been so old story.
They've been around for ages, right? And you've been answering them like, "Arey bhai, aisa nahi hota tha, aisa
I
hua hai."
answer every interview about it.
Ma'am, what I want to know, one more thing is like, and this is a personal question actually, and this is my experience about whatever little I have. And there are a lot of gurus who are famous today. And somebody will come to me and say, "Arey, falana dhimkana guru, teaching, great." And my personal fight has always been that if I am enlightened, let's say, and if I kind of know the knowledge and the secrets of universe, the internal universe. I will not go around, gathering people as followers. Come follow me, and I will give you enlightenment, right? So, and that's just my point of view. What is your take on this? That this Bhagwan was there. If he's enlightened, he could have been in his own world, enjoyed life the way he wanted to. But why get followers? What is your understanding of that?
I have seen followers come by themselves. I have not seen Bhagwan proselytizing or any of his disciples standing at the airport giving flyers. None of it. I get many people write to me, why don't you go to somebody named Sadhguru?
Okay.
I said, why do I have to go? Give me one reason.
Okay.
Why do I have to go? I'm happy as I am. I don't need to go anywhere. It is people come in all walks of life. People came from different countries. Somehow they were attracted. Some have read something that Bhagwan has said. Somebody heard a tape. And that is Bhagwan's right to speak.
True.
He spoke. That was his talent. Even when he was in university and not a religious leader yet or not a big philosopher, he was talking. He was talking to an annoying whole world with his speeches because he did not follow the convention.
Okay.
He was revolutionary. And being enlightened doesn't mean you cannot do this or you cannot do that. I mean, I didn't go to Bhagwan to become enlightened. I didn't go to Bhagwan to learn meditation. I just fell in love.
You did fell in love. And
I only fell in love, and I'm still in love with this man.
a lot of people usually at this point talk about like, oh, you were in love with him, but probably he said a lot of negative stuff about you when you left the commune, the ashram in Oregon. But I'm not going to get there because there's a lot of that online. People can go and watch it. What I really want to know from you is, see, a lot of people still follow Osho, Bhagwan Osho and his, compilation of his discourses. What is the best teaching according to you? Something which was like really hard hitting for you when you were around Bhagwan Osho, that whatever he said made so much sense. Like there are things in life, right, that which suddenly they just make so much sense. And you're like, my God, this is a fact that I need to probably take with me everywhere. Is there something, I'm sure there are many, but is there something that you can pinpoint for, our viewers and me, that, this thing that I saw or learned from Bhagwan Osho, which is still amazes you till date?
Be yourself. Don't compromise your being. Be yourself. And I did exercise that when I left Bhagwan. I exercise in two ways. I honored being a secretary of Bhagwan. Work was important to me. Work was assigned to me. And this work I wanted to do 100% to my ability. So when I came into conflict that following his instruction stops me from doing my work,
Ji.
it took a lot of courage. I decided it's time for me to move on. And I was able to do that only because the way I loved him. It was the same strength of love when I was with him, and it is the same strength of love that said, it's time for you to go.
So my understanding is that you actually took that particular teaching and applied it even when Bhagwan was not very sweet to you. Or,
Exactly. And it should be that way. It should be that way. If he's not sweet to me, he has his own reasons. I don't have to judge it or interpret it. I know myself, and I know who I am, and I'm fully comfortable under my skin.
That's a very interesting teaching, actually. A lot of youngsters today, a lot of stress and self-image issues that they have. Probably they need to look into this. One more thing that I want to know from you is, ma'am, when you say love, right? You were in love with Bhagwan Osho. He was in love with you. I believe, and a lot of people believe, love happens again and again. You have one heartbreak, you move on, and there is another somebody somewhere waiting for you. Did you fall in love with someone else after that, after Bhagwan Osho?
Yeah, I did fall in love, but it was different.
Oh.
It was different. I can say Bhagwan has the top position in my heart.
That's very well said.
And the other lovers, there were a lot of sweet moments with other lovers, a lot of pleasures involved, sexuality involved. But I had other lovers also when I was with Bhagwan. When I met Bhagwan, I was already married.
Okay.
Yeah. And he was an absolute sweetheart.
Okay, when you came back after your studies from US, you were already married.
Right.
What was the reaction of your then husband that you will be joining Bhagwan Osho, and probably did you tell him that you are in love with him?
Of course. I wrote him letters because there was no emails, and WhatsApp, and he was not finished with his studies.
Okay.
So he was 2 weeks late to come to India when I came and met Bhagwan. And I used to write to him every day how I love this man. We were buddies. I and my first husband. We loved each other in such a way, and we felt part of one another.
And him knowing that you love Bhagwan so much.
Yeah, and I wrote him that I can't wait for you to come, that I can present you and I can present Bhagwan to you.
That's a very interesting relationship in that era. I mean, I understand that you had a companionship wherein you are so open about everything with each other, and that's probably you always try and propagate ki, you should be that open with your partner.
Right.
Interesting.
And one more thing, before I married Chinmaya, we were living together.
Okay. In that era.
In that
era where... Yeah. Even living in today still is getting normalized, but not to that point.
Absolutely. We were living together, going in the same school together. He was studying physics. I was studying fine arts. And another issue that was related, he had Hodgkin's disease.
Okay.
In those days, was given 1.5 years to live.
Okay.
At the very most 2 years. We lived together 13 years.
Wow. Eras have changed, but certain things don't change. For example, the pressures of being a young person, being a 20-year-old in your first job, and you have to make money, and you have been told by the society and your family and your friends, and you yourself put yourself on that oh, I need to I need to go ahead and live a 9 to 5,
Sure.
look in a certain way. Social media is there today, so I have to be very presentable on social media also. So these pressures that youngsters go through today, career, looks, relationships, and given the fact that we have technology in our hands, we can right swipe on people, and the dating apps, hookups have become a very normal thing. One night stands is a normal thing. So what do you have to tell the youngsters of today?
I want to tell youngster of today, don't forget yourself with digital world. Don't become a part of the influencing world, because the moment you become an influencer or the one that is influenced, which is more people are influenced than they
The influenced.
influence other, you will forget yourself. And that will be a tragedy. Don't forget your values. I say to them, become aware. Bear in mind you and your individuality, and your being should not be lost.
On a lighter note, though, and I'm just going to wrap up right now. It was an interesting, very, very nice interaction with you. And, it's just amazing to actually know that, you have lived a particular time, which is a lot of people might not be able to experience things that you have experienced. On a lighter note, though, there are a lot of autobiographies and biography movies which are made. Do you think there will be a movie made on Bhagwan Osho? And if yes, who do you think as an actor can probably play Bhagwan Osho?
I don't know about the movie being done for Bhagwan. There is, Shakun Batra is making a movie on me.
Okay.
And my role will be played most probably by Alia Bhatt.
Very interesting. And all the best with that. That looks like a very interesting project coming up. So many projects coming up all the time. And it was great chit-chatting with you, Sheela ji. And I hope that, a lot of people after watching this video, they Google you, Google Bhagwan Osho, and no judgments. They can take their own decisions, what is right and what is wrong.
Always. They should have their opinions. I'm not changing any opinions with my conversation with you. I'm simply reminding people, don't use the wrong information, because it affects you more than me. I have lived my life.